So hello and welcome to the second and final Meet the Candidates Forum for this year. My name is Monica Munoz. I'm Sunnymead's General Manager. I will be your host for today's event. My job will be to provide you with important election detailed information and act as a timekeeper for our moderator and candidates. After the questions, I will provide a slideshow with important dates and upcoming election information. This event will allow homeowners an opportunity to meet the candidates running to fulfill the 2 open seats on the board of directors. The questions being asked today were submitted directly to our moderator, and the candidates have not seen them. Each candidate will be asked the various questions and afford an opportunity to answer. Candidates will be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves and an additional 2 minutes at the end of the forum. Candidates' response to the questions will be limited to 2 minutes. As timekeeper, I will set a timer. Once you hear the beep, your time is done. This session will be conducted by Steve Jacobs. Steve has been in the media and communications field for more than 34 years. He is a retired civil servant working at both the City of Moreno Valley and City of Riverside. Steve is an 8-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force and lives in Sunnymead Ranch since 2003. Sorry, I was at 2003. With that said, it's my pleasure to introduce your moderator, Steve Jacobs. Steve?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me as your moderator. About a year ago, I did the role as host. And so this is a different role, but I think one that I'm up for. So if you guys are ready to get going, I am going to ask the questions. I'm going to bounce around the order. That way it's less repetitive for everyone answering the same questions in a row. And then I will keep track of who's answered what question. So let's get right into it. First question will be for Mr. Knowles. Please tell us about your work experience, profession, craft, management or hourly, and how that experience is an asset to your skill sets for performing your duties as a board of directors member.
Before you answer, can you introduce yourself, Thomas?
Okay, my name is Thomas Knowles, and I've been in the Sunnymead area for about 5 years now, I think. And my background is, so I'm pleased to be here for one thing, and I think it's a great neighborhood. Let me make sure I got the question right. Who I am, Thomas Knowles. I'm a real estate broker as well as a loan broker. And I've been doing this for like 52 years. And I have worked as an escrow officer. I've also managed large real estate companies. I've owned my own real estate company, and I have a gold card in exchanging. And I used to train on the quantum management system. A lot of the offices training other real estate agents. I used to train at least, at least 3,000 agents a year. And I find it very enjoyable. I enjoy getting homes for people because I think that's such an economic start for most Americans. And I try to counsel them in the direction that, first of all, I talk to them about what it is that they are looking for and try to fit in my mind what they are capable of doing. We start off by asking a lot of open-ended questions, and as they begin to speak, I'm trained in a way of having them to crystallize in on what it is that they are looking for, even though most of the time they don't know at that time, but it's within their mind. They just don't know what it is. So, I heard a being, I guess, more.
Yes, it wasn't loud enough, but it did ring.
Right, okay.
So Monica, did you want us to have the other members introduce themselves and then that?
Correct, but they get 2 minutes as well for introduction. So I'll restart the timer. You could select a candidate.
Mr. Lopez, start with you. Being a board member requires time and dedication. Many people who are otherwise well qualified are unable to commit to the time requirements involved in serving on the board. How will your existing responsibilities affect your ability to dedicate the time needed to meet and complete the HOA board's duties?
Yes, thank you, Stephen. So to answer that question, I will begin with my introduction. And I want to say first, good evening, Sunnymead Ranch, to our neighbors. My name is Angel Lopez Ramirez. The last candidate forum, I was not able to attend due to illness. However, I am happy to be back tonight. And my introduction is that I have lived in Sunnymead Ranch since the year 2008. And I was also stationed at March Air Reserve Base from 2003 to 2004. I am married with dogs in my family. And I am prepared to dedicate my time to Sunnymead Ranch to members as a board of director because I bring 30 years of dedicated public service, and I believe I can leverage my federal experience to benefit homeowners in these areas. For example, to pursue federal and state grants, to save revenues for homeowners, to preserve your bottom line, efficiency by consolidating HOA property management functions through an app. Companies have emerged, and many HOAs across the country are migrating into apps that you can use on your smartphone to pay your assessments, to submit architectural committee applications, and receive feedback in real time. And also to report issues such as, for example, in the pool, when the temperature is low, or maintenance issues. So board of directors can respond in real time and get to fixing these items. Also innovation, with that comes management, maintaining and increasing community values, quality of life, establishing a dog park and community garden from available Sunnymead Ranch land, and work with stakeholders to improve Lakeshore Village. I believe we should have a voice at the table for whoever comes into Lakeshore Village because we are the primary stakeholders and we will be the primary customers. Since 2014, I have worked for the Social Security Administration, and in the year 2020, I also worked part-time as a U.S. Census Bureau supervisor. So I work 60 to 80 hours a week, evenings, weekends, and also I am retired from the U.S. Army. I am a combat veteran and a wounded warrior. I served for 24 years in the U.S. Army and California Army National Guard. I am educated with a Master of Business Administration and a bachelor's degree in Business Technical Management. So I am prepared to give up my time in the evenings and on the weekends to work for you so that you can enjoy your time off. That's what I bring to you, my neighbors. Thank you.
So now you could answer the question and I'll restart the timer.
Was that for me?
Wasn't there a question along with his introduction, or did you combine the two?
I combined the two.
Okay, gotcha. Just making sure.
Okay. All right, this will be for Ms. Osborne. Sunnymead Ranch, can you hear me?
I can. Let me go ahead and introduce myself first, and then because I don't know that I would actually remember the question afterwards. So I would like to introduce myself. My name is Renee Osborne. I'm your current president of the board. I'm an original homeowner here in Sunnymead Ranch. I bought my home in 1988. I was 12 at the time. I was elected to the board in 2019 and just elected president in December of 2021, which is a vote of the other directors. So I look at that as a vote of confidence. My career experience is in the area of learning and development. I worked for a multinational mutual funds company, and I managed a team of instructional designers, instructors, business analysts, and so on. That experience provided me with critical thinking skills, being able to interact with various groups around the world, various levels of within the C-suite and on downward, operational planning, fiscal management. I managed a $3 million training budget worldwide there. So that allowed me to, was that your timer, Monica? No. Okay. And so that allowed me to hone my skills in project management and people management skills, as well as communications. So that's my background. That's what I bring to the table here. So thank you.
Okay, I will ask the question. Sunnymead Ranch has a code of conduct for its directors. If elected, will you sign and adhere to these codes, including its enforcement procedures, and what responsibilities might be included in this code?
Steve, that's for me. Okay, thank you. Yes, absolutely. The board, the executive committee actually put into place a very comprehensive code of conduct. Thomas and I discussed this at the last session, that many organizations have code of conducts or code of ethics, and it is a way of safeguarding the industry, and in our case, our community. So the code of conduct is, in my opinion, is just basic common sense. It talks about as directors, we are held to a higher standard. So we put that director hat on, and it stays on all the time, as long as we're a director, and even sometimes after we're a director. So it talks about conducting ourselves in public, how we interact with our homeowners, as well as our vendors, as well as our staff. So civility, conflict of interest issues. This particular code of conduct that is now in place has enforcement. So if for any reason you violate that, there are various steps outlined. So that there's no surprises here. But what a code of conduct does is protects our association. It attempts to provide cover from liability issues that we might find ourselves in if we have a director who perhaps gets us into trouble. Thank you.
All right, next question, excuse me, next question is from Mr. Knowles. Being a board member requires time and dedication. Many people who are otherwise well qualified are unable to commit to this time requirement involved in serving on the board. How will your existing responsibilities affect your ability to dedicate the time needed to meet and complete the HOA board duties?
Please unmute yourself first, Thomas.
Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. Well, my job is pretty much I can put in the hours that I want to, and I think I have the background to work with people and to help them in their pursuit of owning their own home and having it operate function. I'm also a loan broker. I have my own company, and the Phoenix Man Financial Services. And having done this and managed many real estate offices, loan offices, escrow companies, I feel as though that I have enough to understand that you have to try to listen to what people have to say, and you have to conduct yourself in such a way that that they understand that you are listening to them, rather than anticipating on what they're going to say, and be helpful. And that has been part of my background. I have worked with a lot of the homeless in Los Angeles, in the parks. We used to go up in Thanksgiving and help feed them. I have worked with a group called At Choice. At Choice was a program that was started by Doug Yeaman. And what we did was we would take a lot of the juveniles out of the prisons and the jails, and we would conduct experiments with them to try to get them to recognize that a lot of their behavior is based off fear. And we would take them out to Joshua Tree, hang them over a 250-foot cliff, and then we begin to talk to them, because that fear comes up, and what they say at that point is a little different than when you're just trying to think of what you're going to say. So in other words, counseling with And we've turned a lot of lives around by working that way. We had another project where we were trying to show that unemployment, how to eradicate unemployment on Earth. And that project, we took 300 severely unemployed people. And in 9 months, we had them all working.
Okay,
And
thank you, Thomas. Your time's up.
This question is for Mr. Lopez. Our HOA governing documents guide the association, and it's important that all board members understand, accept, and abide by them. Do you understand, accept, and commit to abide by Sunnymead Ranch HOA CCNRs, bylaws, articles, rules, and regulations, and policies?
Yes, thank you, Steve. And the answer is absolutely yes, because we are a nation of laws. We are a constitutional republic. And as a civil servant, I am bound to a much higher standard because following the November 2021 election, when I ran for city council, neighbors on my street and neighbors throughout Sunnymead Ranch reached out and encouraged me to run for the board of directors. And after careful consideration and consent from my spouse, I received permission from my employer, the Social Security Administration, to apply as a candidate. And so I'm bound to that higher standard where I will be bound. I shall be bound to our bylaws, rules and regulations, CCNRs, the David Sterling Act, because as a civil servant, it is a very high demand for me to do so and to act in good faith on behalf of homeowners for the association. Thank you.
This was from Ms. Osborne. Being a board member requires time and dedication. Many people who are otherwise well qualified are unable to commit to the time requirement involved in serving on the board. How will your existing responsibilities affect your ability to dedicate the time needed to meet and complete the HOA board duties?
I have an advantage over Thomas and Angel in that I already know this job and have committed the time, and it can sometimes be daunting, and I can say this because my husband's not here, but it can be challenging for the spouses of directors that we spend so much time on board business. So Angel and Thomas, I don't know if you have significant others that you might need to run this past, but it depending upon your level of not investment, but work, it can be rather challenging. So I currently do this, and so I'm committed to going forward with it as well. Thank you.
Mr. Knowles, our HOA governing documents guide the association, and it's important that all board members understand, accept, and abide by them. Do you understand, accept, and commit to abide by the Sunnymead Ranch HOA CCNRs, bylaws, articles, rules and regulations, and policies?
yes, to the extent that they, I understand that the CCNRs should be brought up to a more recent, a more modern placement. In other words, but as things are, I'm more than happy to abide by the laws set forth.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez, please tell us about your work experience, profession, craft, management, or hourly, and how that experience is an asset to your skill sets for performing your duties as the board of directors member.
Yes, thank you. Because I served for 24 years in the U.S. military, I retired as a U.S. Army Master Sergeant. And so I was in charge of and care of soldiers whom I have mentored many to become leaders themselves. And I also was the senior enlisted advisor to commanding officers, including the battlefield. And so my 24 years of military service with leadership skills has allowed me to grow, and that growth extended into civil service since 2014, so much that as a professional civil servant, I have earned my agency's highest award 2 years in a row from the Deputy Commissioner of the Social Security Administration because of my impeccable service, work, and background. And so I'm prepared to bring my leadership and my skills to you, my neighbors, to the homeowners of the Sunnymead Ranch Association. And I just want to share that I will not have an issue if any directors step out of line to police up my fellow directors. And also I encourage my directors, if for some reason I'm out of line, please police me up, because it's a fiduciary duty to not only police up each other, but also to act in good faith on behalf of the association. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Osborne? Our HOA governing documents guide the association, and it's important that all board members understand, accept, and abide by them. Do you understand, accept, and commit to abide by Sunnymead Ranch HOA CCNRs, bylaws, articles, rules and regulations, and policies?
Yes, absolutely. And I will dovetail on what Thomas mentioned. So while we have our bylaws and our rules and regulations and so on, our CCNRs are ancient. You know, they were like, I think 85. So they are in need of revisions, and that will be some heavy lifting on the part of committee members as well as the community to make that happen. So yes, I absolutely understand what the CCNRs are, and will abide by those while actively trying to move us forward and make some changes. Some of the things that the board has talked about are things that will improve Sunnymead Ranch, where we're talking about possibly making changes or investigating changes, I should say. As far as fencing, we're trying to do something about the burrows. Obviously, we can't get rid of them. They're protected. People love them, myself included, when I'm not chasing them off my property. But how we can best deal with them. So there are a lot of areas for improvement, and I look forward to moving forward doing exactly that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knowles? Sunnymead Ranch has a code of conduct for its directors. If elected, will you sign and adhere to this code, including its enforcement procedures, and what responsibilities might be included in this code?
Muted.
Thomas, you're there. You go.
Yeah.
I think it's imperative that you try to bring integrity in your life. It makes you feel good about yourself, and it kind of rubs off on other people. And it's an ongoing process. I don't mean that you're always going to be right at the top, but I would look forward to the challenge and try to do the best I possibly can to support the magnificence of the people around me. No, I'm out of time. I still got time? So in that respect, I like to carry myself as a decent person and try to understand other people and listen to their points of view, not knowing it, and me not knowing everything, and understanding that I don't know everything. This is why I would like to try to see more participation for the people here in Sunnymead. We have a beautiful clubhouse and a lot of facilities here that I see that's being idle, and we don't have as much participation as I feel as though that we could have if the people were more aware, or some kind of way that we could get them enthused about utilizing some of the facilities that we have. So in that sense, I feel good about moving into the board of directors and learning. And I know it's a learning process. It's going to be ongoing. And that's most of it. Did I answer your question?
You did. All right, moving on to Mr. Lopez. Sunnymead Ranch has a code of conduct for its directors. If elected, will you sign and adhere to this code, including its enforcement procedures, and what responsibilities might be included in this code?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Without hesitation, yes. Because, for example, when people get hired by an employer, oftentimes as part of your contractual obligation to be an employee, you also sign off on a code of conduct of how you will behave on duty. And in many cases, for example, for civil servants like myself, we also sign obligations, not only how we manage and behave ourselves on duty, but also off duty. And so, because we are a public servant as a face from the agency, likewise, as a board of director, I would be a face of the Sunnymead Ranch Plant Community Association for our members, to the public. And so I will abide without hesitation to the highest standards of any contractual obligations to abide by the rules, regulations, our CCNRs, the David Sterling Act, and also I am prepared to as well police up my fellow directors if anyone steps out of line. And again, if for some reason I'm not in line myself, then please, fellow directors, you are welcome to police me up as well. It's a fiduciary duty to do so. Our members demand the best from us, and so they deserve our best. And I, as a director, will give to our members my best. Thank you.
Ms. Osborne, please tell us about your work experience, profession, craft, management, or hourly, and how that experience is an asset to your skill sets for performing your duties as a board of directors member.
Thanks for that. Actually, most of what I covered in my introduction about my background, my 30 some odd years in business, critical thinking skills, which helps to evaluate contracts, evaluate requests for proposals, and so on. The ability to interface with other associates is invaluable. Operational planning, I kind of am operational by nature. I like planning, detail conscious. I know that, and I have also a background in technology. So in that learning space that I was in, it started off solely with IT technical training, and then broadened into other aspects. But IT is a big piece of that. I'm also married to an IT professional, so we kind of live and breathe IT here, and I believe that helps us. So I now kind of help with the website. We're trying to move things forward. You know, to Angel's point, is technology can be our friend and can help improve efficiencies. So so that's also one of my strong. I'd like to think it's one of my strong suits, that I've been able to add some additional value to our website, and there's lots more functionality with the website. We just need to be able to turn it on. So to your point, Thomas or Angel, it has the ability to log requests, you know, like the gate is broken or whatever. Our system can do that. It's just a matter of getting it to do that for us. I hear Monica's timer. Thank you.
This question is for Mr. Knowles. I keep hearing a lot about the Davis-Sterling Act. What is it, and what importance is it to me as a homeowner?
Well, the Davis-Sterling Act, as I understand it, is a standard set forth by the state, and we all should try to learn as much as we possibly can about it. I'm in the process of taking some classes online. I've gone to some of the CAI meetings along with Mr. Lopez, and we've tried to grasp as much as we possibly can. But it's a document that covers a lot of the functioning that goes on in HOAs and situations that come up, and how to behave or how to act or how to go about solving problems, as I see it. I haven't gone all the way through it yet, but my intent is to take more training so that I can be more direct in that area. I have a lot of training in a lot of different areas. I have a background in math and physics. I have been an engineer, and so I really think that the David Stern, it's a guideline. You know, it's like any guideline, and if we the more we understand it, we can share that with our homeowners that may not understand why they can't let their lawn just grow up or why they need to paint their fence every once in a while or whatever that comes up, and they feel as though that they're being picked on or this and that, you know. And when in fact we all here to try to get as much enjoyment and as much value out of our properties as we possibly can.
My timer went off. Sorry, I just didn't hit a mute on time.
This question for Mr. Lopez. There has been a lot of talk about requesting the board to conduct a forensic audit, even without any tangible evidence of wrongdoing by anyone. If you were elected to the board, what reasons would you have to support any such audit? And what reasons would have to not support any such audit?
Yes, thank you, Steve. So per our governing documents in the CC&Rs, annually, our association is required to complete an annual audit. And so if there are any gaps in any annual audits, for example, let's say we can go back to 2011, if no annual audit was completed for the association, but then we have one for 2012 and 2013, and then let's say hypothetically, if for some reason 2014 there was no annual audit, those would be grounds for me as a director to voice support for a forensic audit, because there's gaps in years from audits, annual audits that were required per our CC&Rs. And so that would be justification that I would argue for, to complete a forensic audit, to see that we are in line, not only with the annual audits that were completed, but also to confirm that as an association, we are doing our jobs, we are fulfilling our fiduciary duty to members, and that we are properly counting your assessment dollars right down to the penny without any missing or misappropriation of your assessments. Thank you.
Very much. Ms. Osborne.
Yes.
What do you believe is a better use of HOA funds when they are needed? That is, purchasing the cheapest or going with the best value? Please explain your thought process used.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Steve. Thank you for homeowners who submitted that. That's kind of the age-old question that we all deal with as homeowners, consumers, as well as directors, is you can't just follow the lowest bid. Not that you can't accept a low bid, but you need to put it into context and make sure that that's going to be by a reputable company. So if something goes wrong, that they will be in business and be able to rectify any problems. So I like the concept of best value. It's not always the cheapest. I mean, I know just working at my home, every contractor I talk to, I learn something new. I ask another question, and I go with the best value, because that ultimately will provide us dividends, as opposed to going to the cheapest and then having to replace it later. And thankfully, the board has done a really good job. We deal with vendors who are honorable, who have been in the business. So like, for example, our landscaping, if they plant something and it dies, they replace it. They don't charge us. Now, if we went with, some Joe Schmo, guy in the corner, he might say, hey, that tree died. That's too bad. That the replacement tree is, $50. We don't deal with that. So we deal with reputable companies and we look for the best value. Thank you. I hear feedback from somewhere.
You're muted, Steve. I know you were talking.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry, Mr. Knowles, this one's for you. What are the new amenities you plan to install this year or in the near future?
Well, the amenities I would do, I would try and solicit from our homeowners to try and participate and find out from them what they would like to see happen and try to accommodate as much as I possibly can, or much as we possibly can as a board, and try to get a little bit more enthusiasm and get more use out of our clubhouse, which is a very lovely place, sitting on the water as it is, and with all the other facilities there. But I noticed that I don't think the facilities are being utilized as much as they could be. And people, is it because people are apathetic about it, or they just don't know about it, or what we can do to try and stimulate their interest in making it a more enjoyable place to congregate?
This next question is for Mr. Lopez. With regard to our board of directors, what is your position on term limits and why? And do you think they should be adopted in the future?
Yes, thank you, Steve. I believe term limits will be challenging because, for example, let's say if the board of directors adopts limited term limits with the consent of a majority of members, that can be challenging because basically board directors who serve for 2 consecutive terms under limited term limits would have to sit out maybe a year and then be eligible to apply again as a candidate. And so you may run out of volunteer servants in the community. So it's very challenging for any kind of term limits for an association. And so at this point in time, I do not advocate for any term limits. And I believe that the more members that apply as candidates to become directors, the better, because you offer our members a variety of talented people with different skill sets, different backgrounds, different education. And so, yeah, term limits is very challenging, and I do not believe at this point in time as an association that we should adopt any term limits. It's just going to eliminate eligible directors who have served and then listed out, and then maybe we won't have any volunteers that will want to apply as candidates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Osborne, what are the new amenities you plan to install this year or in the near future?
I'm right there in lockstep with Mr. Knowles that board of directors cannot make these decisions in a vacuum. Just because I want something doesn't mean that that's what our community wants. Or so instead, our current board has committed to doing town hall meetings, a total of 4 in the year 2022. We have done 1 so far, which was to discuss the turf removal project and the benefits to the community. I believe that before I start spouting off with, I want heaters, I want this, I want that, is that how about we ask the community? How about we engage them and find out what's important to them? And to Thomas's point, what's going to bring them to the clubhouse? And I don't look at the use of the clubhouse as a litmus on whether or not our community is happy or not. Some of the quick things, I mean, and I don't really look at them as amenities so much as we are sorely in need of an audio system at the clubhouse because any homeowner who has attended open forum meetings there, that's always a challenge. You can't hear anyone, so we need microphones and so on, especially if we intend to go forward doing hybrid Zooms, depending upon what's going to happen with, the state of emergency. So the audio system, so I don't really look at that as an amenity so much as a project that the board is already currently looking at. But again, long-term and short-term planning with the community. I mean, my personal thing is I would like every gate in the community to have the access card. I want to know everybody who's on the property. To get power and access readers out to those remote gates might be a 5-year plan. And I hear you, Monica. It might be a 5-year plan, but if we don't discuss it, it'll never happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Knowles, there has been a lot of talk about requesting the board to conduct a forensic audit, even without any tangible evidence of wrongdoing by anyone. If you were elected to the board, what reasons would you have to support any such audit? And what reasons would you have to not support the audit?
I really feel as though that with a lot of the, I recently got QuickBooks. I think a good bookkeeping and monitoring and making sure that every dollar is counted for is a good thing. Now, I don't know about the past and whether or not an audit is necessary or not, but I certainly wouldn't be against it if it's going to uncover some. I understand that there's some missing items that has gone on in the past that that's not brought up, and I would like to see that it is needed. If I feel as though it's needed, I'd like to hear the argument and like to see. I think it's part of integrity. It's a part of being able to be trusted by the homeowners to know exactly what's going on at all times, and whether or not a forensic audit would do that, or a situation where we have great accounting on an ongoing basis, on a monthly basis, that we should be able to account for what we got and have a system in place to make sure that is what's going on. In that case, then you wouldn't need a forensic audit, or you may need something for some of the past indiscretions. But as far as moving forward, I think the most important thing is not to fall behind. In other words, we need to have a report based on a monthly basis as opposed to waiting a year or this and that. I think it's with the technology that we have today, it's very easy. I think we should move toward utilizing cards for payment or all the other technology that we have. We're in a fantastic age, to be alive today with all the fantastic stuff that is going on. And I think it's something that we're not in the day where you have a pencil and a paper and you have to sit down and struggle with all of this stuff. I think it can be fed and it can go across many systems. And I'm studying right now blockchain, that's part of the crypto analysis.
Your time's up, Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms.
Thomas, I was looking forward to Thomas explaining cryptocurrency to me.
That's a different Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Lopez, what do you believe is a better use of HOA funds when they are needed? That is, purchasing the cheapest or going with the best value? Please explain your thought process.
Yes, thank you, Steve. I believe that going with the cheapest is not necessarily the best route. I believe we need to look at all bids from top to bottom and look at the best bids based on quality and value. because our members and our homeowners demand that we properly spend their assessment dollars in our common areas for the beautification and value of improvement for our common areas, for our property values. And so going cheap is not the best route. I can attest to that because in Afghanistan, when I was there in 2007, we never went with the cheapest contractor, because when we did that, we experienced some poor quality work, and some of the poor quality work was unacceptable to our soldiers, our troops on the ground. And so for our association, it's even less acceptable, because you demand that your assessment dollars are spent properly. And plus, if I may add, as far as spending our assessment dollars, I believe as an association, we need to establish an annual calendar to honor and celebrate the cultural diversity of our association. When was the last time we celebrated at the Lake Club Black History Month, Asia Pacific Islander Month, Hispanic Heritage Month? Never. And so I believe in addition to spending our assessment dollars properly, we need to open up our Lake Club and open it up for members and establish temporary committees for these celebrations annually on our calendar, so we can get our homeowners involved, from the Hispanic community, the Black community, the Asian community, and our Muslim community to celebrate Ramadan. I believe we need to go 2 steps further, other than just announcing on the Planned Community Association monthly circular that goes in the mailbox. Let's take it 2 steps further and truly honor our members. Thank you.
Right on time.
Ms. Osborne,
Yes, sir.
there's been a lot of talk about requesting the board to conduct a forensic audit, even without any tangible evidence of wrongdoing by anyone. If you were elected to the board, what reasons would you have to support any such audit? And what reasons would you have to not support an audit?
Thank you. Thank you for that. This topic never dies. I will say that in 2019, the board at the time approved a forensic audit. George Galanis, Robert Riddick, myself, and David Clark approved a forensic audit. We scheduled a meeting for Director Williams, who was the advocate of the forensic audit, to go and meet with the CPA firm, bring the list of allegations, bring his evidence, and so on. Unfortunately, he didn't leave his information. The forensic audit was never completed. It just hung there. Now, it's my understanding that in 2020, the treasurer at the time looked at the allegations that that Director Williams had provided, found nothing of substance. The treasurer in 2021, fresh pair of eyes, looked again, nothing that would warrant a forensic audit. I wanted to correct a couple of things. So we do have, I mean, to Angel's point, we do an annual audit every year based on the Davis, well, because it's good business practice, but it's also required by the Davis-Sterling Act. So every year we get an annual audit. Every month, gentlemen, if you become board members, you will receive the complete financial package. We look at over 300 pages of financials every month. So it's not a matter of not having insight, it's there for your review and for my review. So I do take exception with the word past transgressions or indiscretions. I do not feel that there have been any in the past. So the board at the time in 2019 didn't feel that there was reasons behind it, but it was worth the money to bring this thing full circle, put a pin on the top of it and be done with it. So that if there are no malfeasance that are being alleged, then let's just put it to bed. However, that comes with a price tag to our homeowners. I mean, a forensic audit will run between $30,000 and $50,000 now. So I approved it in 2019. Going forward, I really don't know. But I mean, having directors and others go out there and just spew unsubstantiated rumors is unconscionable, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knowles, What do you believe is a better use of HOA funds when they are needed? That is, purchasing the cheapest or going with the best value? Please explain your thought process used.
I think as a homeowner and a property owner, you have to try to look for value. And that's an ongoing process. I have a building in Los Angeles that recently I had to spend a lot of money on because I found that the contractor that I used to train, I thought I was doing a good thing by changing all my copper lines, all of the galvanized pipe into copper lines. Come to find out, the contractor used the cheapest a copper line that he could find. And I've got leaks going on. I had a water bill of $719 on one building, which is normally around $150 because it was cheap copper. So I salute people that have the fortitude to stand by the product, and I have one worker that's worked for me for 35 years, and my manager of one of my buildings is always telling me, please let me use someone else. He is too expensive. But I say, when he does it, it's right. It's like, so it's, there's a lot of value in it. And I think you can get that experience when you've gone through as much as I have. I used to buy as many as 50 houses a year myself. And for years, I struggled with sending people out to do certain things and in poor quality. And it wasn't until I met people that gave me good quality that I realized the difference. You don't have to check on them. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. So quality is always, quality and value is hand in hand. And sometimes it may cost a little bit more. I had a guy to put on the door because my manager said, oh, he could do it. And then come out, he put it on backwards, So it's an ongoing process, and you just don't arrive. You just arrive in. Luckily, I do have a contractor now that's, like I say, he's been with me for 35 years. He just recently painted my house and did a good job. So
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Lopez, I keep hearing about the Davis-Sterling Act. What is it and what importance is it to me as a homeowner?
Yes, thank you, Steve. So let me begin. As I get to the Davis-Sterling Act, we have rules and regulations, we have bylaws, and we have CC&Rs. If there are any conflicts between the rules and regulations, the bylaws overcome. If there are any conflicts between our rules and regulations and our bylaws, our CC&Rs overcome. And so when we get to the Davis-Sterling Act, the Davis-Sterling Act is a law adopted in California that governs our associations, so who act as nonprofit corporations. And these are the laws that as directors, we must be aware of how to handle corporation functions for homeowner associations, for example, elections, alternate dispute resolutions, and also annual audits. Again, that's coming up again. And so these laws, if there's any conflict between them, our CC&Rs, our bylaws, and our rules and regulations, again, we go with the Davis-Sterling Act. And so as directors, it's great to be informed. I'm proud to share that I am a Community Associations Institute Board Leader Certified, and I continue to study the Davis-Sterling Act every day so that I am properly informed. And as part of my fiduciary duties, I can act in good faith on behalf of the association. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Osborne, with regard to the board of directors, what is your position on term limits and why? And do you think they should be adopted in the future?
I agree. I had to look at if I was muted or not. I agree wholeheartedly with Mr. Lopez that while all you have to do is read social media. They all have to go, term limits for everybody. But the reality is that it's not like there's 14 other people vying for these 2 spots. There's 2 spots, there's 3 people. And this is actually kind of an anomaly. There have been times when there are 2 candidates and 2 spots, and that's it. If you implement term limits, certainly strict term limits, we may find ourselves short of our 5-person board. And I don't think that that's something that we certainly would want to do. There's various ways of looking at term limits. Angel had mentioned that there are ways that I could serve for 2 years or 5 years and then take a year or 2 off and then be allowed to come back. But I have to share with homeowners is that there is a significant learning curve, not only understanding Sunnymead Ranch and the nuances and the history and, where in the heck is that pump and how did we get it and where's the grapefruit grove and why do we not just bulldoze the darn thing? So there's that piece, and then there's the governing documents, and then there's the Davis-Sterling Act. So there is a lot of learning that needs to be done to become an effective board member. And I think if you turn around and toss people out after 2 years because they've been there for 2 years, you're really doing a disservice. Depending upon how much time I have going, I will relate a story that my very first candidate forum, the question was, okay, I guess I won't be able to share the story. Sorry, guys.
Okay, this is for Mr. Knowles. Same question with regard to our board of directors. What is your position on term limits and why? And do you think they should be adopted in the future?
And you're on mute, Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way I see it is that, you want to get good people and you don't want to have stale people. So as I keep saying, there's an ongoing process that I don't know that's depending on the length of the term limits you're saying, because a lot of times you got to understand there was a thing that came up, and I'm telling a story too, in World War II where this ship had to go meet the other people to save their lives and stuff, but they were surrounded by these bombs. And the captain called everybody around and said, well, look, we can't go anywhere because of the bombs here. Everyone think about what one guy said, well, why don't we just all blow and we just blow the bomb away? And they started laughing. He said, no, don't laugh, think. And one guy said, well, let's get a hose and push them all away. And that was the answer that they did. And they pushed the bombs away. And anyway, they went and saved them. It's called cybernetics. You can build off of things that a lot of people have to offer. I'm sure that I could learn a lot from Renee, having her experience. But if she wasn't there and I had to go in naked, am I going to learn from? Who am I going to learn from? I'm going to start from scratch. So I think it's the way it's handled, and the way it's handled effectively is to make sure that we have as much quality as we possibly can. I think she gave me the boot. She always gave me the boot.
Was that time?
Monica, did you give him the timer?
Now it did.
Okay.
No, you did. I don't know whether you do it or not.
We need to go like.
You're incognito, I have no idea.
All right, Mr. Lopez, this one's for you. What are the new amenities you plan to install this year or in the near future?
Yes, thank you, Steve. One of my proposals, as mentioned before, is to establish an app for our association. I know Renee mentioned our current Seabreeze management having something in place. But if this is a system that cannot become operational for 6 months or up to a year, then we need to look outside and start looking at applications that are available now, such as Appfolio, where again, homeowners, you can operate and run all your functions for your home, for the association on your on your smartphone from the comfort of your home. You can pay your assessments, you can do your architectural applications, receive feedback in real time, and also report issues in the association. And all the directors will receive the alert and it can be addressed in real time. Another proposal I have is because we are now in a 5G network, our RV lot often gets broken into, where catalytic converters are stolen, parts are stolen, and vehicles are vandalized. And this is property of our members. And so because we are in a 5G network, companies have emerged that have established 5G security camera systems. And these systems do not require a Wi-Fi connection and do not require a power source, because these systems will run on their own solar power with battery backup. And without the need of Wi-Fi, with these companies available, we can have these 5G security camera systems that run in real time, provide video footage in real time, and we can connect it straight to the lake club and to the front gate with our security so they can monitor in real time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Osborne, this one's for you. I keep hearing about the Davis-Sterling Act. What is it and what importance is it to me as a homeowner?
Okay, so yes, the Davis-Sterling Act is critically important for not only the HOA, but the HOA members. So it is the largest group of civil codes compiled for common interest development corporations around, well, it's specifically for California, but I think we've trumped everybody else. So what it does is it safeguards homeowners. So this is the way I look at it, is it mandates certain things. So again, this is where that education comes in. So it talks about that our budgets need to be to our members by a certain date. That when we have a meeting of the board, homeowners must be noticed 4 days in advance. We post it. Monica sends out the notification so that all homeowners know that there's going to be a board meeting. And by the way, here's the agenda. So in case you want to attend this and hear what's going on, you have that ability to do that. So it safeguards your rights. It also goes on to talking about homeowners may or may not be aware that we have open sessions, which you just come, you sit and you watch us do business. And then there's executive sessions, which are closed sessions. And there are 5 topics that are allowed to be discussed in executive session. So we can't go and do all sorts of crazy business behind closed doors. We have to do it in front of you, the homeowners, or as Thomas or as Angel likes to call it, stakeholders. So that's the benefit of Davis-Sterling. It goes on to also talk about annual audits. That's also mandated. Annual reserve studies. So coming in and looking at how long is that roof going to last? How long is the asphalt going to be there, and so on? And how much money will it likely take to replace those items? So the Davis-Sterling Act is they're not guidelines, by the way. They are laws that we have to abide by. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knowles, this is the next question for you. Have you regularly attended our HOA open session board meetings over the last 2 to 3 years? And if not, why not?
I'm muted again. Yes, I have attended some, and I haven't attended as much as I have lately because of the fact that I haven't attended as many before as I am now, because I became more aware of them and when they're happening, to watch out for them and to try to understand what is going on, And as far as the Davis-Sterling Act, it's a platform. It's a platform in which we base our own activities on. There's almost every section gives you a time frame to do things. When elections come about, they should be 90 days prior, not to have one less than 90 days. Just rules and regulations that keeps HOAs on on a constant accomplished way of handling things that you can easily recognize. Uniform, that's what I'm looking for. It's like any organization, you got to have uniformity. And David Stern helps us to have uniformity. I think I need to get my light on, huh?
Yes, I was going to mention it. If you could turn on the light.
Okay, this next question is for Mr. Lopez. Considering that there has been a number of mail thefts in our community, what are your plans to eliminate and/or deal with this type of crime?
Yes, thank you, Steve. And again, I go back to my proposal of establishing a 5G security camera system in our RV lot. And so why not take it a step further and also establish those same 5G security camera systems across the street from our mailboxes? So that way, our security company can monitor in real time every mailbox area we have in our association. And that way we can see when someone comes in and attempts to steal mail from mailboxes, the security company can react right away and send out the unit, a patrol car out to that location to capture the wrongdoers. And so these 5G security camera systems, there are no limits to how creative we can get, whether it's the RV lot, whether it's in the lake club around certain areas, or whether it's in front of our mailboxes. I believe we can get very creative to protect our property values here for Sunnymead Ranch. And as a board of director, as part of my fiduciary duties, I will always advocate to do and apply and provide the best technology that we can for the best value for your dollar. Thank you.
Ms. Osborne, this one's for you. Have you volunteered for any committees on our HOA? And if not, why not?
Yes, I was a co-chair of the activities committee for a couple of years. I enjoyed that tremendously. Our reasonably sized group of dedicated homeowners, we took our events that we held traditionally, especially for the children, and we kind of reimagined them. Which was an incredible feat. So we did like a fall fair for Halloween. Instead of doing like the traditional costume thing, we had the children kind of like when I was a child, we used to go to the elementary school and we'd toss rings or bowl or whatever. So we did that. That was an incredible amount of fun. Our Easter event, we moved outdoors. Our philosophy was we want to give children experiences rather than stuff. We also did that with Christmas. We had Las Posadas, we had Kwanzaa demonstrations and so on. And so to Angel's point, we are a very diverse community and we need to embrace that. And unfortunately, COVID put an end to everything. So we are now in the process of resurrecting, all of our committees. So I will just make an unbiased plea. Help, come, volunteer. We have hospitality, we have activities, we have communications, we have veterans, and I know camp night and so on. So that's my unabashed plea for our homeowners here to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knowles, there are two different terms up for election, a 2-year term to replace an incumbent and a possible 1-year term to fill the recall seat if the recall is successful. Can you explain why you are also not running for the 1-year seat if the recall is successful?
I wasn't aware of it, to be honest with you. A lot of what's going on right now is new to me. I really had not given it any thought. In fact, they brought up a recall the last time we had a meet the thing, and that was the first I've heard of a recall. Was the last meet the meet the members or meet the candidates forum. I mean, I heard it, but I really don't know what it's all about, how it's working, and what's, what it's about. I haven't had a complete understanding of it. But I wouldn't mind running them 1 year. Maybe 1 year is about all I can last. I don't know. But 2 years. You're saying there's 2 seats, so you're saying it. What exactly is going on? Is there 3 openings, you're saying?
Monica, do you want to address that? I'm just reading the questions as residents submitted.
I mean, typically we shouldn't, but just to be clear, yes, there's 2 board of director seats. And if the recall is successful, you could also check that box to run for that seat.
Oh, okay.
That was the option on your candidate's application.
Right. Okay.
Right.
That's
Remember,
good.
you submitted a new one? That's what it was.
That's what it was. Okay.
It's like time, so I'll move on to the next question. This is for Mr. Lopez. Our current governing documents do not allow for short-term rentals like Airbnb or VRBO. Neither does the city of Moreno Valley. Do you think this is fair or unfair to homeowners who want to use those services as a way of supplementing their income? If you think it's unfair, what are your thoughts about neighbor safety concerns when total strangers rent short-term next door to them?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Well, when I ran for city council last year for District 2, the California law did change, and our governor signed it into law, Senate Bill 9 and Senate Bill 10. And just to bring everybody up to speed on Senate Bill 9, and I believe this also coincides with Airbnbs and temporary rentals, because now Senate Bill 9 will allow homeowners to build units into their home. So they're allowed to build up to 4 units in their home. And so that's the California law now that we have. And so there would be a process for a homeowner to go through from the board of directors. But now the catch-22 is this: Senate Bill 10 allows our city council to override the veto and objections of our board of directors. That is the law. And so if a homeowner decides, okay, you know what, board of directors, you're not approving me, I'm going to the city council. And not only can they now be allowed to build 4 units in their property, the city council will even allow them to build up to 10 high density units on their property. So now we're dealing with potential for parking issues, trash, just a lot of issues that perhaps our members do not want on their street. And so it's the law now, folks. That law is here. Homeowners have the option if they want to build rental units, i.e., 4 units, Airbnb. They have that option. Our board of directors has the option to decline, to say no. But then just know that if they go to the city council and the city council, can't override our objections, it's going to be a tall order to overcome. So I believe there's more to come in those laws, because there are folks that are objecting and trying to organize and gather signatures to recall those laws. But for now, they are here, they are now. And as a board of director, I will advocate for keeping our communities safe and keeping our communities intact as they are now. Thank you.
Very much. Ms. Osborne, considering that there has been a number of mail thefts in our community, what are your plans to eliminate and/or deal with this crime?
Well, for homeowners who weren't present at the last Meet the Candidate event, Thomas expressed his concern because he has an individual mailbox. So there are communities within our neighborhoods within our community who have individual mailboxes, as well as other neighborhoods that have the cluster boxes. I would venture to say that a board of directors and an HOA is going to be powerless to stop the crime. Angel, and I would, I like the thought of being able to put up cameras. However, in reading a number of items about privacy and so on, I'm not sure that that's something that our community would be able to do, because in essence, we'd be surveilling the entire neighborhood. So I like the concept. I'm just not sure that legally we can do that. So much like our conversation earlier, it's important to have fresh ideas and then test them out. I mean, find out if we could do things like that. So so I like that idea, but you know, it's much like everything else. I look at social media and cars are stolen. I watched a video of the home across the street. You know, that these gang of three you know, they look like just your average young folks coming and opening doors of the cars and stealing stuff. How do you prevent that? I don't know, short of putting it in the garage, locking your doors. I don't know. Increasing police patrols sounds like a great idea, but this is a huge footprint of a community. I cannot imagine that a police cruiser, that's a good use of our taxpayer money, just cruising our neighborhoods looking for people. So how do I prevent mail theft? Use informed delivery, so at least you know what's coming in your mailbox, and get your mail out. I never put things in my mailbox at nighttime, and when the mail comes, I get it. So I guess that's the trick, is to dissuade people, because there's nothing in it. I don't have a magic bullet here. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knowles, have you volunteered for any committees in our HOA? And if not, why not?
Unmute, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm trying. No, I have not volunteered for any of the committees. I participate with the clubhouse. We have a big whiz thing every third Sunday, and I really have. Why not? It just, I really wasn't even aware of it. You know, really, that it was that crucial. But I will in the future look at it. I don't have a reason why I can't. And I don't have a reason why I didn't, other than the fact that I just was not aware. I was just, you don't know what you don't know. And that was the situation I was in at that time. But I'm willing to do whatever I can to help any committee or any people or person I possibly can.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lopez, there are two different terms up for election, a 2-year term to replace an incumbent and a possible 1-year term to fill the recall seat if the recall is successful. Can you explain why you are not also running for the 1-year seat if the recall is successful?
Yes, thank you, Steve. So regarding our election, you know, of course, we have 2 board seats that are up for grabs from candidates that apply, and then also we have a recall election. And so, even though I didn't apply as a candidate for the recall election, you know, for our members and our homeowners, there's a line there for a write-in candidate. Nothing prevents anybody from writing me in as a candidate. Nothing prevents anybody from writing in Mr. Knowles as a candidate. Everybody is eligible as a write-in candidate, so it's open for everybody. Now, regarding the election, I mean, it's a very touchy subject, but let me just say this. Regarding the recall election, let's say it is not successful, and then the next board of directors decides to recall the next director. Now there's a dangerous precedent that has been established. When does it stop? When do recalls stop? Just because you don't like how one director behaves or operates. Now there's executive sessions, there's David Sterling Act and our CC&Rs to bring our directors in order. But to resort to a recall, that's establishing a dangerous precedent. And what's to say that will not prevent the next board of directors from recalling a different director next time? So again, it's a touchy subject. I did not agree with it. but it's there, it's on our ballot. And so again, nothing prevents homeowners from writing me in as a candidate, as a writing candidate, and nothing prevents homeowners from even writing themselves in as candidates and advocating for support. It's there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Osborne, our current governing documents do not allow for short-term rentals like Airbnb and VRBO. Neither does the city of Moreno Valley. Do you think this is fair or unfair to homeowners who want to use those services as a way of supplementing their income? If you think it's unfair, what are your thoughts about neighbors' safety concerns when total strangers rent short-term next door to them?
So I will preface that I have rented my fair share of Airbnb, so I understand the concept as well as the income. However, we, the association, do not allow short-term rentals in our association. And the reason being is vacation renters, they haven't been vetted. They're messier, noisier. I mean, all you have to do is think about when you go on vacation, it's party time. So if you're living next to an Airbnb and they're like having a party, that's not great. Vacationers also don't pay any kind of HOA fees. So also if they, as part of that rental, say that you can go to the lake club, they're using our amenities and also possibly risking higher insurance rates because of that. I find it interesting, Angel, and I will have to research that. So I do know that ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, can be built in people's backyards and so on. But I'm not sure that we cannot still mandate no short-term rentals. So you could have Aunt Martha live back there, for the year, and that we don't care about Aunt Martha. It's the people who roll over, weekend after weekend after weekend. That's the problem. So do I feel bad that they're not making money off of their property? No, I'm not. If you want to make money off of the property as a rental property, then rent the darn property out, but not weekend after weekend. We must abide by our CCNRs and protect our association. Not to mention we have all that parking and everything else. So no, thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Knowles. Let's see here, where am I? Considering that there have been a number of mail thefts in our community, what are your plans to eliminate and or deal with this crime?
Well, I kind of side with Angel on this in terms of having cameras, but also being able to lock your mailbox and unlock it. And in order to make it uniform, I don't know whether or not that should be the board of directors' responsibility, in that if we have the funds to do so. I'd like to discuss that at the board, but I think we should have more safety on our mailbox. It doesn't bother me to carry a key and open my mailbox and get my mail out, just like I do when I get a lockbox at someplace, and here around the areas here, our mailbox have been here for 30 years, and they're just leaning over, and who's responsible for fixing that? Is that our responsibility, or is that, I don't know. But I do think there should be more safety put on that, because people will try to steal your mail. I mean, some people took my mail and threw it over, and someone brought it back to me. But I think it should be a lot more secure, as well as cameras, so that you can recognize these people if they're doing it, when they're doing it. But the main thing, it should be more secure. Shouldn't be so easy just to go up and pull your mail down and take your mail out. That's an invitation for people that need things. We're in a society now that people are very lacking of stuff, and they don't mind taking yours. As W.C. Fields used to say, anything worth having is worth stealing. And so that's what you got, the situation. And the only way to deter that is to be able to have a secure mailbox. And I don't mind having it right out where mine is now, right out in the front, as long as I can lock it up. And I think that's the solution. And as Angel said, if we have a camera somewhere on it, we gave up privacy a long time ago. When the cameras came out, that was we gave up cameras everywhere. You know, everyone was talking about, well, you're gonna use your camera.
Thomas, your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez.
Before you jump in, I will just let Mr. Knowles know that the cluster mailboxes are the purview of the association, but individual mailboxes are the responsibility of the homeowners. So just to clarify that for you.
Does that mean I can get with my neighbor and we fix our mailbox?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yep.
You're responsible for it.
Get a great one with a lock on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to him about it.
Okay, next question is for Mr. Lopez. Have you regularly attended our HOA's open session board meetings over the last 2 to 3 years? And if not, why not?
Yes, thank you, Steve. I have attended regularly our open session meetings over the last year. And also, regarding 2 to 3 years prior, not so much. But again, I offer no excuses to anyone because oftentimes as a civil servant, well, in 2020 was very difficult for me to even attend any meetings because number one, I was working a full-time civil servant job and I was working a part-time civil servant job. So I was working for 2 federal agencies at the same time. And so I was working 60 to 80 hours a week. And any spare time I had available for my regular full-time job, that was committed to the U.S. Census Bureau. So, for 2020, yeah, it was difficult because of my committed civil service to our community to complete the census count. And then 2021 came around, you saw me regularly. And here we are in 2022, you're seeing me regularly as well. And so anything past that, because I was still serving in the military before I retired in 2016, I stayed out of local politics or any issues in our association. I was just a good paying citizen, a good paying homeowner, and I just kept up with my assessments and maintained my home. So yeah, being in the service before, I did not feel the need to be involved at that time because I was still serving. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Osborne. There are 2 different terms up for election, a 2-year term to replace an incumbent and a possible 1-year term to fill the recall seat if the recall is successful. Can you explain why you are not also running for the 1-year seat if the recall is successful?
So thanks for that question. I actually am running for that recall seat. So to articulate for Thomas, so there is a recall on the ballot for Director Williams. And if that's recall were to be successful or were to pass, then that seat would be open. Based on our bylaws, the board cannot appoint, which is what they've done in the past for various seats. This particular opening would have to be filled by a vote of the membership. And that's why there was an extension of the election, because once that recall was placed on the ballot, then we needed to allow homeowners the opportunity to say, oh, there's a, like you said, there's a 1-year term, perhaps I will run for that. So everybody who filled out the candidate form, or candidate statement application, there was a yes, I'm running for the 2-year term, or I could also do the 1-year, or you could do both. And I've done both just because it seemed pragmatic at the time. I will weigh in on something that Mr. Lopez said that I'm concerned about, that this was not entered into lightly. We mandated getting legal opinions, additional legal opinions, to make sure that this was valid, because that was my thought too, where we're not just going to throw somebody on the ballot for recall without warranting this. This is just the next step in the long line of code of conduct enforcement steps. So I might suggest that you go look at the code of conduct and just tick off all of the things that have already been done. And this is just one of those items. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I interrupt for a rebuttal?
Sure, Adam.
Okay, thank you. Now, again, the Davis Sterling Act, that's the California law for our nonprofit corporations that govern homeowner associations. The CCNRs are bylaws. And again, the law provides a lot of statutes of how to properly address issues with directors. Now, let me ask this, what about due process? Was due process properly followed throughout the entire process?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, so Angel, and I appreciate your question back, but we're not going to debate this here. But yes, actually go read the due process communication. So yes, I feel confident that due process was served, and that this is just the next step.
Okay, fair enough. And again, that's going to be for homeowners and members to determine on their ballot how they will vote.
Yeah, you know, and keep them. I'm sorry. One more thing. The board is not recalling Director Williams. The board merely put it on the ballot for the homeowners to decide the recall, not us, not the board.
Right. The board doesn't have that power to do so. The board may not remove a director. They voted to place that director on the ballot. So then it's up to the membership to either remove him or not.
Actually, if I may offer another rebuttal, there are laws in the Davis Sterling Act that do allow for the board of directors to replace directors based under certain statutes and regulations. It's in the Davis Sterling Act. Please take a look. And but again, you know, we're not here to
right, but he didn't meet those.
No.
Okay,
again,
so
I mean,
thank you.
I know we'll stop right here, but he didn't meet those requirements. That's why I went to the membership.
Please, may I continue without being interrupted, please?
No, you may not. Because
This is not what it's for.
Well, President, you brought up a point directed to me in my name, and I requested to offer a sincere rebuttal. And again, I'm going back to, as long as you've done your due diligence and you've presented all the information to the members, then again, the members will decide. That's all I'm getting at.
That's fine, and they will. Thank you.
All right, the next question is for Mr. Knowles. Our current governing documents do not allow for short-term rentals like Airbnb and VRBO. Neither does the city of Moreno Valley. Do you think this is fair or unfair to homeowners who want to use those services as a way of supplementing their income? If you think it's unfair, what are your thoughts about neighbor safety concerns when a total stranger rents short-term next door to them?
I think it's a very fair thing, you know, for the community as a whole, to not to be bombarded with a lot of different people going in and out, and the conduct unbecoming in the area, and you being put in that situation. I agree with that you shouldn't be able to run a B&B out of your house. But I know that there are people that have renters in their house. But I guess they are long-term, I don't know. Because there's a house behind me where a lady runs a house. So I agree. I mean, I would hate to see the place overran by a lot of different people going in and out, and cars and stuff. In fact, for a long time, I had a house across the street from me. And they used to have 15, 20 cars all the way around the block and all in the driveway. And it's a terrible sight. But eventually the house was sold, and now we got a young lady there with 1 or 2 cars. That's it. You know? So I prefer, you know, but then I don't have any problem making my payment. That's, you know, if they, you know, other people may have a different situation, you know, but I prefer it not be a B&B rental, to be honest with you.
Okay, thank you very much. This question is for Mr. Lopez. Have you volunteered for any committees in our HOA? And if not, why not?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Again, I go back to my civil service in the year 2020, working two jobs. Even though the U.S. Census Bureau was part-time, I was still working up to 40 hours for that position. And again, this goes back to working 60 to 80 hours a week in the year 2020. And again, I go back to my time in the military service before I retired in 2016. Again, because I was still serving, I did not immerse myself into local issues, local politics. I stayed out of it. I was just a good paying, member for my assessments in my home and maintaining my home. And so again, coming forward to 2021, 2022, in 2021, because I ran for city council, it's not fair for me to, apply for any committee positions when my efforts were to become a council member for District 2. And so here we are in the year 2022. And so now I've positioned myself to run for the board of directors because I believe I have a lot to offer, a lot to benefit our members, and I'm prepared to leverage all my federal experience to you to improve your bottom dollar and your assessment dollars. Thank you.
Next question is for Ms. Osborne. Have you regularly attended our HOA open session board meetings over the last 2 to 3 years? And if not, why not?
Do you want to give me another question? As a director, we are able to act as liaisons on committees, but we really try not to have directors on committees as much as possible, and allow other homeowners to do that. And obviously during COVID, nothing went on, but I was very, very happy to. Actually, did I answer this question? I was on the activities committee before, but I was on the best committee. I was on the board of directors since 2019. So hopefully that will suffice.
Okay, yes, I think we're done with that. Monica, I just want to go over a couple of things. I do have 1 or 2 more questions, but they're sort of similar to some of the other ones. Do we have any questions from people who are online now? Did you want to go there, or should I just continue with what I have?
No questions at the moment.
Okay, I'll continue on. Next question goes to Mr. Knowles. Can you assure the homeowners that the monthly assessment will not go up anytime soon?
No, I cannot. But I don't feel as though it will, based on the history that we have and the looking at some of the reserves and everything else, the financing that we have. I don't believe that it will necessarily go up, but we're in a situation now with 7.9% inflation. So it can happen, but I don't think it will over the next year, at least. But it could happen. And based on the reserves that we have and what we're doing and what it seems that it needed, I don't, but I'm not in a position to really answer that question, with direct insight. But based on where I am, I don't believe it will. And I think we're doing quite well as far as the amount of money we're taking in and what's being spent. There should be something radical happen. Like I say, inflation is 7.9% right now. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Lopez, this one's for you. If elected, knowing the circumstances of what the current board of directors have been through with regards to the continuous legal filings against Sunnymead Ranch PCA, what approach are you prepared to take to bring unity, understanding, and harmony between all 5 board members so as to not continue costing homeowners undue legal expenses and putting the homeowners at risk of assessment increases?
Yes, thank you, Steve. Before I get to that question, I just want to put the last question to rest. folks, neighbors, I'm a civil servant. I work for a federal agency. It's not like I can just go ahead and decide one day to apply for any position, whether it's at City Hall for the Planning Commission or for the Homeowners Association here in Sunnymead Ranch for a committee. It doesn't work that way. As a civil servant, I must get permission from my employer because again, it's a process. And as a civil servant, I'm bound to a much higher standard. So again, to put that question to rest, as a civil servant throughout the years, I decided to just continue my civil service, and I got permission to run for city council, and now I got permission to run for the board of directors. Now, back to your question, Steve, on accountability. You know, again, as a board of director, it's a fiduciary duty to come to the table, let's talk, let's discuss differences, let's go through the process. If a director is not complying, again, we have the David Sterling Act to follow the law and due process. We have our CCNRs, we have our bylaws. And then also we have counsel from the management company to assure us directors we're following the law, and then counsel will advise us on options of how to proceed and go forward. And then as the board, we can weigh those options and select the best decision to bring things into order. And so as a board of director, I would also proceed that route, following the law, due process, the advice of legal counsel, and then make an informed decision, and a decision that's in the best interest of our association to protect their assessments. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Osborne. Why did you decide to run and become a board member? There are 2 board seats available and 3 of you are running for them. Someone will not be elected. What is the biggest reason why we should vote for you?
Okay, this is always a difficult question to say, like, vote for me because I'm so great. I would have to say that the reason I continue to run is I feel that I have the best interests of the association at heart. It's an interesting position that I hear some candidates say, like, I advocate for the homeowners. Well, the reality is as a director, you have to advocate for the association as a whole, and not get into, I want to support Thomas, or I want to support Angel, or I want to support Martha in her yard. We have to stay above that, and we have to look at the association as a whole and make sure that it is solvent and that it is following the rules and that we do those things. And I related a story last time where, as part of my training, I attended a playground safety training where they talked about an association, and I was going to look up the case where there was an association. A young man sat on the swing. The thing came down, hit him on the head. Thankfully, did not kill him. However, the parents sued the association and won a $20 million judgment against the association. Unfortunately, for those homeowners, is that their insurance wasn't $20 million. It was like 10 or 15 million. And so guess who pays the balance of that? They take that award and they divide it by all of the homeowners, and that comes in the way of a special assessment. And so I'm retired. This is my retirement fund. I do this because I am passionate about staying retired and not having to go back to work. So protecting our association, that's why I run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Knowles, this one's for you. If elected, knowing the circumstances of what the current board of directors have been put through with regards to the continuous legal filings against Sunnymead Ranch PCA, what approach are you prepared to take to bring unity, understanding, and harmony between all 5 board members, so not to continue costing homeowners undue legal expense and putting homeowners at risk of assessment increases?
Well, I think the thing that you really have to do first is to try and understand what the issues are and try to bring them together and see whether or not there can be some common ground that could be met. Now, I know that's a tall order, but you have to start somewhere. I think that's where you have to start, is by getting a feel for what each board member has an issue that's in conflict with the other issues that the other people have, and then try and hash it out from that level. And it's ongoing, it's like, and then trying to establish respect for one another so that each person can have their own opinion, and they can address the issues that they feel that they feel that they have. And that's how people live among each other, is by sharing, ideas and respecting one another. Now, everyone don't want to be respected, and I don't know, but I think you have to start somewhere, and I think that's where it is. Try to establish respect and ask for that when you're meeting in your little clusters and coming up with reasons why you're right and he's wrong, and that's the only way to address it, as I see it. And I just certainly, it's not something I look forward to getting into. I'm good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Steve, we do have a couple questions.
Okay,
One question, I don't know if you want to, that way I think after these couple, then maybe we could wrap it up, because there's a few election items I would like to go over. One of the questions that we just received, do you support the recall? I'm not sure who you want to start with.
let's go in the order we were going in. So Mr. Null's just finished. So Mr. Lopez, if you could address that.
Yes, thank you, Steve. So regarding the question, do you support the recall? Again, before our ballots came out, throughout this whole process, I did not support it because, again, it's establishing a dangerous precedent, because what's to prevent the next board of directors to recall a different director next time around? And then on the next cycle, a new board of directors, they want to attempt to recall a different director now. You see, this is a dangerous cycle, opening a can of worms with what's going on now. Now that the recall's on the ballot, I support what's on the ballot, and let the members make their informed decision of how they want to proceed and how they want to vote. And that's my answer to that question. And thank you.
Okay, same question to you, Ms. Osborne. Do you support the recall?
Helps if I unmute. Do I support the recall? So I believe that all individuals should conduct themselves in an honorable manner. So for those of you with children or a child, we teach our children that if we make promises, that we take an oath, you know, whether it's the Boy Scout, the Girl Scout, whatever, civil service, realtors, that an honorable person abides by that promise and the agreement. I have to say that in the few years that I have known Director Williams, who is the subject of this recall, so I will go ahead and call him out. For the few years that I have known him, he has violated not one, but two formal agreements with Sunnymead Ranch. And when I say Sunnymead Ranch, by extension, that means you and me, all homeowners here in Sunnymead Ranch. And as Thomas and I discussed at the last open forum, having code of conduct is not unusual. It is just part, and even Angel admits that there are certain standards that you're supposed to abide by. So there's sound reason for their existence. We also talked about that there should be, tonight even, that there should be consequences for violating those things. So again, this is the lesson we teach our children. Actions and words have consequences. So my question and my reasoning is, why should Sunny Williams get a pass on violating not one, but two formal agreements with our community? So yes, I support the recall as a way for homeowners to decide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Knoll, same question. Do you support the recall?
I don't support the recall. I don't support it because of the fact I'm not aware of the transgressions that are alluded to. I have not seen any transgression in paper or anything. So I'm not in a position to be knowledgeable. And I hate to keep going back to that because I don't know what I don't know, but I don't know anything. I hear people saying, I hear Renee say that, how did she put it, that you have an agreement, but I don't know what that means. What does that mean? You know, I'm usually, when I deal with things, it's concrete. Okay, you actually did this. You actually did that. I don't know what you had an agreement. Well, what was the agreement and how did you break it? I mean, I really don't know. I really don't know. And it's up to the people now to see it. But I think it should be spelled out in plain English. This happened, and this happened. These are the two violations that you did. I don't know what they are, to be honest with you. And I don't think it's appropriate to speak in terms, we almost like we're in these different tribes, you know? This tribe over here don't like this tribe over here because this, but it's never really about some clarity. And I haven't got any clarity on what's going on. Now, maybe in the future, when I get some clarity, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, I don't know. But at the moment, I do not see exactly what those transgressions were or what was promised and not delivered.
Thank you. Your time's up.
Okay.
We have a couple more questions. The next question is, sorry, I lost my spot. Some time ago, there was a great activity that number of homeowners embraced a lot because we got to meet more neighbors and spend a whole day away from our daily tasks, jobs, etc. That was an annual turnaround trip to Vegas. Is there a possibility you would encourage and/or support this activity again if you were elected to the board?
And the question is, to who is the question?
Actually, let's start with Mr. Lopez, so we're kind of going in the same order.
Yes, thank you, Steve. Okay, so Josie, thank you for your question. I certainly appreciate what you propose, what you present. And I believe as a member of the board of directors, we need to be open to all ideas for activities that can bring our community together, that can get homeowners to get involved in our community, to come to the lake club, and to look at activities like this. I believe we need to be open to all activities possible for the morale, welfare, and enjoyment of our homeowners and their families. And so I would support a round trip to Vegas, you know, as was done, and other associations do various activities like this. Again, I believe we need to take an all the above approach and look at the possibilities of some of these trips, activities, and with enough homeowner involvement with these activities, you know, let's look at the possibility of making these active again, and for your enjoyment, for your morale, because you know, you pay your assessments, you pay for your lake club, and certainly as a board of director, we need to be open to your ideas, and let's apply the best ideas and make these enjoyable activities for you and your families. Thank you.
Okay, and then same question to you, Ms. Osborne.
Yeah, Josie, if Josie was the one who submitted that, thank you so much. I have never taken one of those trips, but I heard that they were a blast. And as we come out of COVID, yeah, I agree with Angel and Thomas. We need to like really embrace some great ideas. Whether I want to get on a bus right now with 20 of my favorite or 30 of my favorite people, I'm not so sure. But that being said, maybe we could do some concerts at the lake or movies outside, you know, to allow for, I mean, we have a new strain coming along. I'm sure that we can do some really cool things coming up. So stay tuned, guys. But again, we need volunteers for activities.
All right, thank you very much. And Mr. Knowles, your response to that question.
Yes, and then taking a little bit further, I'm in agreement. You know, if we're able to set it up and, you know, and we get enough participants to do that. Also, I'd love to see different clubs, you know, like bike riding clubs, running clubs, chess clubs, all sort of different things that people may want, you know. I don't want to be the instigator of any of particular ones, but I used to be a runner, but that was years ago. But I think that these different clubs and having people sign up for them and look for the numbers that that are showing up and try and support them. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
There is a couple more questions, but we've already been online 2 hours. So unfortunately, we're gonna stop here. I do want to share my screen for a minute before we do end. I would like to thank Steve Jacobs for being the moderator today. Thank you. You did a great job. Thanks to the homeowners who submitted questions ahead of time and now. And of course, to our candidates, thank you for attending. If I could have your attention for one quick minute, I would like to share my screen. So, of course, by now, most homeowners should have received, oops, wrong slide. By now, most homeowners should receive your election mailer packet. It was mailed on March 25th. Oh, it keeps going to the wrong one. Okay, forget it. They don't want to do that. It was mailed on the 25th, so you should have received it by now. As well as I wanted to show the homeowners. Sorry, I wanted to share as well with the homeowners where you could find your Q&As. So if you go to the website under our sunnymeadranch.com, under 2022 annual election, you could find all your candidate videos from the last open forum. Today's will be uploaded as well. The candidate statements, election facts, the annual meeting, our webinar information, the frequently asked questions for your ballot. I think this is very important. There's a full page. It gives you a little instruction on everything. If you're not sure how to vote, how to complete your ballot, if anything is wrong with your actual packet, please contact Accurate Voting directly. Their phone number is listed and their email address. This is the third-party inspector of election that was hired. So everything is strictly to them. Please don't call the office because the office has no control over the packets or the mailer. Direct all questions to Accurate Voting. And that is it on my end. Again, thank you homeowners for attending, to the candidates, and Steve, thanks again.
Thanks. Monica, did you want to do a 1 minute, Angel, Thomas, and myself?
You're
Angel?
correct.
Yeah,
Yes,
Angel.
please wrap it up. Sorry.
That's all right. So I was just going to take over. Angel, you have like a 1 minute closing?
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank Sunnymead Ranch homeowners who attended tonight's candidate forum. I thank Steve Jacobs for acting as our moderator. Thank you for presenting the questions. Thank you for your time. And thank you, Monica and Seabreeze Management, for putting together this candidate forum. Thank you, President Osborne and Mr. Knowles, for attending this candidate forum so we can address the questions and concerns of our members. To our neighbors, I want to say thank you again. Thank you for the opportunity as a candidate before you. You have my information. I have answered your questions to the best of my knowledge and abilities. And so for those of you that support a civil servant, to continue service for you as a voluntary servant for board of directors, who shall be bound to our governing documents, our rules and regulations, bylaws, CCNRs, and the David Sterling Act, I am your candidate. I welcome your vote and your support. Thank you.
I'll go next. Steve's on mute. So homeowners, yes, I would like to thank Angel Lopez and Thomas Knowles, as well as Steve Jacobs and Monica for hosting and moderating this event. We really do appreciate it. Homeowners, I want to express to you my goals for our community, and they're not grandiose. I'm not gonna build Disneyland for you. However, my goal is to improve the look of our community. And while that is a popular position, how a board goes about accomplishing that will not be a popular position. I believe the only way that we can move forward with improving the look of our community is through consistent and timely CCNR violations. And I know that you talk to any one of your neighbors and they go, oh, the HOA is just so picky. But those are the people that I don't, those are the people who get aggravated, but their homes look good. It's the people whose homes look horrible. I mean, we have them in our neighborhoods. Every one of us have homeowners like that. So that's my goal. I also want to increase the fines, also not a popular position, to act as an incentive, because if we fine somebody $25 because they don't have a blade of grass in their front yard, guess what? They will just continue to get that $25 fine and not improve their property. So it may not be a popular position. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I believe strongly that that is the only way to bring our properties back up to a level where we expect them to be, which is why we bought here in the first place. So thank you, homeowners. I hope you you consider me for your 2 votes, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thomas?
Yes. And to mimic everyone else, I really want to respect Renee and Angel, and the moderator was just superb. I think there's, and Monica, I'm sorry about that. You always beat me, but anyway, I think another step that we could go to is starting doing a reward type thing for the best house on the block or something, some type of award. I know that was the thing that we used to do over in Lakewood, the area over in Lakewood. Who has the most beautiful house, or who did the best at this or that, you know, and just giving some acknowledgement instead of always, you know, pointing the finger at what was wrong, you know. I just think that's a different way of going. I mean, you know, naturally you do have to try to keep people in line. But what I'm thinking is that if we acknowledge people from time to time, maybe that would be the incentive to try to be better. Now that may not work, but you know, it's what I feel. And thank you guys very much for listening to us. I would be very proud to represent you on the board of directors, and I'll do the very best that I possibly can. And, thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Angel.
Thank
Steve?
you, everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
homeowners. Bye-bye. Have a
Bye.
nice evening, everyone.